I got that one. Let's
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come to preside over these deliberations so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Lishow.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Gilbert. Garrett.
Here.
Barrett. Facilities Controller Darren Snyder. Administrator Ted Wampel. Fire Chief Jay Lane. Human Resource Director Nicole Barnes. Director of Operations Butch Roddy. Deputy Administrator City Attorney Tim Henry. Finance Director Brett Kittredge. Police Chief Marcelo Ladaki. Director of Health Services Hank Dolsky. Director of OCD Kurt Sauer. Joyce Zukowski and Joe Rubano. And Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo. Ms. Gilbert asked that 2 items be removed from the consent agenda resolutions. The first being the Joyce Insurance Group resolution, and the other would be the appointment to the zoning hearing board. So we'll vote on this separately. The other items will be on the consent agenda.
need a motion to remove them, correct?
No, she requested it.
All right.
Anybody here to speak on pending legislation this evening? I do know that there are some people that pre-registered here, so you were here to speak on pending legislation. So what I'm going to do is go through the ones that I believe have registered previously to speak on legislation before tonight, and subsequent to that, we'll ask if there's anyone else here that we may have missed that we should address council on legislation. I have Kathleen Smith. I believe you wish to speak on pending legislation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Your name, for the record, please.
Kathleen Smith, Ashland. I was very pleased to get an invitation to this tonight, and I look forward to attending with my child. I chose to come along because with the media attention, this regular session was now in the spotlight. I agree that this is bigger than one person. People like Tony, John Daw, Dee Culp, Beth Hartman, and Emily, who have worked tirelessly for years. They do it to promote fairness and equality, not publicity. I want to thank them for their efforts and ask that you vote in favor of this ordinance. I would like to add a special quote that Emily, Tony's mom, has always loved by a woman she has always admired, Eleanor Roosevelt. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, but you'll be criticized anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Dee Culp.
My name is Dee Culp. Council members, I come to you today as a member of the LGBT community, as well as a transgender woman, and as a citizen who has been living in the city for nearly 3 years. I come to you today to address the fact that many of the people in this city, like myself, are in danger. We are in danger from prejudice, bigotry, ignorance, and discrimination. We are not being granted our full share of the inalienable rights which we were promised in the Constitution. This is a problem that must be addressed. That's why we're here. I, like all of you, were raised on the tenets of fairness and equality. I was taught that all people are created equal. And yet, I have come to understand that I am less equal simply for being who I am and loving who I love. I can be fired from a job, evicted from my home, denied service, and more. That's not fair. It's not fair that the law protects those who are heterosexual and living their lives as the gender they were designated at birth, when the truth is they have as little control over that as I do of being who I am and who I love. This is a fact. They are simply more fortunate that the laws were written by people like them with little to no consideration for people like me. I can tell you horror stories of the ill treatment that I have witnessed, the pain and suffering my friends have gone through, the loss and humiliation of mothers and fathers denying their children, throwing them out of their homes, and refusing to speak to them. I could go on and on, but I won't in the interest of brevity. What I will say is that to understand our suffering, you need to understand us, learn our history, and see what we've been through. Get to know us and see us as people before seeing us as our labels. We stand on the edge of history, and we are witnessing barriers being broken all the time. Walls are being torn down, ceilings are being broken through. We may soon have a woman for president of the United States, when only a century ago she wouldn't have even had the right to vote. We've heard a lot of rhetoric about making America great again. Well, turning back the clock won't do that. Taking a step forward, that is how we make this country great. This is one step of the march of progress that ensures that all people of all walks of life are given the chance to thrive and live their lives to their full potential. All you have to do is make sure that we leave this world a little better than we found it. That kind of progress starts right here, in our own backyard. As Councilman Brooks said the other night, fear kept people like us in the closet for far too long. The guilt and the shame that kept me in the closet robbed me of my happiness for more than 16 years and nearly cost me my life. When I finally came out, I decided then and there that I would not allow anyone else to have to go through that. I made a solemn vow that I would fight with every ounce of my being for justice and equality to ensure that when we say that everyone is created equal, we mean it. To discriminate against any group denies that statement. In my time as an advocate, I've been on the front lines in this fight. I've made calls, I've marched, I've canvassed, and I spoke to a lot of people. Throughout the streets of Philadelphia, Scranton, Pittsburgh, and beyond, and it hardly registered with the state. It was asked, why do we need this law when the county is working on this law? Why do we need this law when the state is working on this law? As we learned Tuesday night, that law failed. Those efforts were in vain. And the same happened throughout the state in June. Wilkes-Barre needs to pass this ordinance because we don't know when or if Pennsylvania ever will. We have hundreds of people who are living in this city. They are living in fear and they are needlessly suffering. I urge council, please, vote to amend the ordinance as Councilwoman Gilbert has proposed. Equality in Wilkes-Barre can be a reality. Thank you for your time.
Cody Robinholt.
Cody Robinholt. I am not generally an ignorant person, and yet I had no idea that this area lacked this provision. Not because I don't pay attention, but because I was under the impression that this sort of thing was recognized nationally, regardless of municipalities. Which is why I'm glad that we're here today, to help close the gap between us and the outside world. I have two hopes. One, that leaders here and throughout the rest of the nation follow your guys' lead for now and forever into the future. And that my generation, and the generation that follows mine, and the one that follows them, forget that we even gathered here today. Because these sort of rights will become just as universal as waking up in the morning and going to bed at night. Thank you.
John D. Liberto.
So, file of council number 10 of 2016, on page 45 of the agenda. This body really believed it was going to whisk this measure through. It needs to be tabled tonight. The community has not had nearly enough time to assess what you're attempting to foist upon it. I only learned of the proposal last week, I think it was, no earlier than last week. That was via a Facebook post by Ms. Gilbert. I looked at the agenda last night, only to find to my great surprise that council was planning on adopting the measure tonight already. I don't know if that's in accordance with established protocol. They're repealing an entire chapter of ordinances and replacing them with a revised version. You're creating a brand new bureaucracy, the City Commission on Human Relations. I don't believe you have the authority to do that. Once again, table the measure. Table this power grab, another example of the runaway freight train of government at every level. I'd like to take a look at the ordinance itself briefly. I'm on the second page, section 14-2, definitions and word usage. What's the source of these definitions? Genetic information, quote unquote. What authority does the Wilkes-Barre City Council possess to say anything about genetic information? Discrimination acts, as you know, the definition, are not limited to those already identified by the State Act. I'd like to read a brief excerpt. The fact that the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act does not define a practice as unlawful shall not exempt such practice from being considered a discriminatory act under this chapter. You're going to be claiming acts that aren't even identified by the state. You're going to expand their list. I'd like to look at the definition of gender identity or expression. You see the term chromosomal sex. I didn't have to look that up. It's pretty much self-explanatory. As you define it, I don't want to put words in the council, but as you define it, it seems that you're claiming, you're asserting that an XY chromosome pair, which is stamped onto every cell, we're not just talking about gross anatomy, does not definitively mark an individual as male or XX female. Who was Beth Gilbert to make such an assertion in her capacity as a public servant? Who was this body to make such an assertion? Who was the State House or the U.S. Congress to make such an assertion? The real question at hand is whether male and female is the created order, the natural order. Some who reject this order, who hate this order perhaps, refer to it scornfully as heteronormativity, a term I only encountered a few weeks ago. I wonder if Ms. Gilbert's intent is to dismantle heteronormativity, if this body's intent is to dismantle heteronormativity. A community would do this at its very great peril. I suppose I should state explicitly that I do not hate anyone, and I'll still almost certainly be maligned with all sorts of negative labels, be that as it may. Finally, my last page here. We're contending with conflicting positions. One cannot hold both without engendering cognitive dissonance or abandoning logical consistency. The progressive mind may not be able to grasp this concept. Because I hold male and female to be created order, the created order, and men and women wonderfully and exquisitely distinct and complementary, I simply cannot accept the validity of transgenderism with the following proposition at its core. Male and female are interchangeable. Once again, table this measure tonight. Thank you.
Just two things, John. This is only the first reading for the ordinance. We'll have a second reading in September. So we'll also have public comment then. Two, I don't know if Tim can attest to this, these are legal definitions, correct?
Yeah, the ordinance is modeled after similar ordinances, and I think it's approximately 32 to 34 municipalities across Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I sent you guys the case today where Allentown's ordinance was challenged, and the court found that Allentown's ordinance was legal.
Okay, just for clarification purposes.
Anyone else on pending legislation?
Look, we talked about that insurance now, that's pending, right?
Yeah, just
Okay, I'll go last. I'll be out here.
Good evening, Matthew from the State of Town. I want to thank council for the opportunity to be here, Mr. Brooks for the invitation to speak. I kind of missed the vote on the county council, and we saw how that vote turned out, so I wanted to ensure that it came out and made the feelings known of myself, and I think a lot of people who feel the same way as I do. To add to Ms. Gilbert's comments, and reference the previous gentleman's comments, the authority does lie with City Council to make an ordinance like this, and under home rule, you guys actually have the ability to make anything into a law that's not expressly prohibited by the state constitution and laws. So you absolutely have the authority. The reason that you guys are defining terms over there is because you have to, because when somebody ever has this challenge, we have to know specifically what we're talking about. Defining terms is a normal part of the legislative process, and an essential one at that. And so likewise, you have the ability to include more definitions and more requirements than the state, because again, it's not expressly prohibited by the state. So you certainly can, in fact, pass this law. And I just want to thank everybody else for coming out here. I think they said everything that needs to be said. The crux of the matter here is whether you agree with somebody's decision on their lifestyle or what their identity is completely irrelevant to whether somebody should be afforded an equal opportunity to live in a home, to have access to a job, to live a normal life. Those are completely two different things. Council is not taking a stance on whether they agree with anything here other than the fact that people should have an equal opportunity to be human beings. So please do consider this. Thank you.
Pending legislation.
Yes, I just have a question. My name is Joe Caffrey. I'm president of the Wilkes-Barre School Board. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My question is, is there pending legislation in regard to the SOS plan for moving the district forward?
There's been no motion to do that, and if there was a motion at that
I
point,
was going to come back and I
Anybody would
can
be
question that prior to.
and if there were to be one, I would suspect that that would happen shortly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pending legislation, anything's on the agenda this evening? You dealt with Mr. Campbell? Sir?
Bob Kalabowski, I just wanted to comment on this pending thing with this insurance. I guess I want to say thank you to Darren Snyder, who was the one who found this out, about what's been going on with insurance. I don't understand. The insurance, from what I'm told, expires on Saturday, and now this council has been handed this today, and it's Thursday. And I believe, can somebody tell how much is the savings now? 200-some thousand? 260? There's something wrong here. I mean, if this company all of a sudden, who hasn't, as far as I know, never gave us any breaks, and by the way, I understand they gave money to the mayor's campaign fund. Seems like that's how it works around here. I told them not to get involved with these people. Now, holy Moses, we got all these problems again. But the thing I don't understand is, at what point did this administration find this out? I mean, why weren't we on top of this? I believe it's what, August? Why wasn't this picked out months ago? Why can't we go to other insurance companies? And it seems like this insurance company, from what I understand, has had a stranglehold on this city for over 25 years. And Bob, darling, you believe it, they have to give campaign contributions. Just slides away. But my thing is, why wasn't this picked up? Because now the council is in a bad position. You have to do something. Is there any way that we could just do this for 3 months and let other proposals come in? And I think something should be changed here. This is a professional service. There's just too much money involved in this. And like I said, this company has had a stranglehold on this insurance for how many years? 25 years? You know, and I thank Darren Snyder for picking out, and Tony Brooks too for working on this. There's something wrong here. Why wasn't this, Mr. Wall, could you tell me, why wasn't this picked up months ago?
Glad to answer it. I started in May and started my own discussions with...
Should be what's like, were you done with your...
Well, yeah, but see, I sort of got asked a question today. I won't get out of hand, but I'm just trying to get this...
No, just say what you have to say and then we'll answer it.
Well, it's hard to say what I want to say when I don't have all the answers.
You will afford you an answer, obviously, when you're done.
Right, but I just don't understand how this administration didn't pick this out. You know, don't forget, they came in here, and I don't blame Tony George and his administration for what happened with the other administration, with the finances. But why wasn't this picked up? And another thing is, this is an important issue with this insurance, along with what all these people are talking about. Where's the mayor? Why isn't he here so he could do some explaining? Like he said, he just came in May. So Tony, where's Mr. George? At a baseball game with Mr. Moses? I mean, why wasn't this picked up months ago? And if it wasn't for Darren Snyder, this would still be going on, and Mr. Brooks. So I guess we're stuck. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything, is there anything we could do? And to finish with this, is that all of a sudden, we're able to save $260,000. I think we got to do something. I think we have to get an independent auditor for somebody to come in here and find out why didn't we get discounts the last several years? How all of a sudden now that Mr. Snyder and Mr. Brooks are asking questions, all of a sudden it drops down $260,000? So in other words, what's been going on the last couple of years? And I don't want to get into examples of other things I brought up here because I'll end up getting thrown out, handcuffed, and everything else. But this is another example of something's wrong. And folks, don't say nothing. There's campaign contributions here, and it has nothing to do with the issue, but it always slides that way. Maybe you should all make a campaign contribution. So, that's it.
Mr. Wampel, I know you spent considerable time on Tuesday addressing those very same issues, but if you want to briefly give it.
Yeah, just the highlights. We worked with our present carrier who has been with the city for 20 years, who actually we were very happy with what they've done over the last 20 years. And I'm not going to, I did a big presentation on Tuesday, and we worked with them, and we got the renewal offer on maybe 2 weeks ago. Now, hang on. And the rate was a very competitive rate. It was a tremendous savings. And, you know, there's a lot, I did that business for 30 years. I know how that works. You know, sometimes your insurance risk improves, which we, again, as I explained to council on Tuesday, we're a sloppy risk. The city is not a great insurance risk. So if things improve, that improves your rating. You know that with your own business and your own business insurance. Sometimes an insurance company's rating structure also changes. So, you know, and that game's played all the time with insurance companies, whether it's in the personal market or the commercial market. And we were very happy with what the savings. Again, it's a $265,000 savings.
See, here's my point. If we would have went to 2 other insurance companies, I'll tell you what, as a taxpayer, and we saved $350,000 or $500,000, I'd be even happier yet.
Well, one of the things that, and you're right, so one of the things we talked about on Tuesday, and Mr. Wampel understands that even though it's a professional service, you alluded to the fact that we're under the gun here with this. We do not want to be uninsured at this particular point. However, in the future, the administration is receptive to considering going out for proposals, follow in a professional manner, and soliciting professional proposals in a timely manner that would allow us to.
It's something that we can start, you know, a process, and we're committed
It's
to
only
doing
1 year,
that.
this policy is in 1 year increments, so certainly we need some time to put that together and go out and solicit proposals, so you are right on that.
And the bottom line, Bob, and the last thing I'll say on this, Mr. Barrett, is, you know, it's not always the best rate with insurance. Again, I did it for 30 years. It's the best offer and the best deal, and we've been working with this company for 20 years that has gone above and beyond for the city as far as what they've done. I don't have a problem with them. Again, I've known the agency for 30 years. So we're very happy with the savings.
I have minutes on left, but just so you understand, there's always, Ted, there's always that taint of the campaign contribution. And I think that's what annoys everybody. Is there's always that campaign contribution. And that's what I think annoys it. I know it just bugs me to death to see that that's what happens. And it's always these people that give the money. And I said that to the Lion Mayor when he was here the other day. I said, how come all the people that give you the campaign contributions get all the work? Like me, you know how much work I get? 0. And guess how much I'm going to get next week? 0.
One of the things you mentioned, and I would like to repeat it, so you commended Mr. Brooks and Mr. Snyder for their work in looking into this, and I think that needs to be recognized as well. And as Mr. Wampel said, we are realizing significant savings thanks to their work. And not that there's not room for improvement, but
All right, just so we can discuss this a little bit later, I'm going to tow your car and your car, and we can spend about a half hour.
anyone else on pending legislation? Anything on the agenda?
We need a motion, second, on the consent agenda resolutions.
Consent agenda motion. Mr. Merritt, we need a second on the consent agenda.
Second. Mr. Belushi?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
We have the resolution for the choice insurance. Need a motion and a second.
Make the motion. Second, Mr. Merritt.
Mr. Belushi?
Yes.
Go ahead. Mr. Brooks?
You know,
Where's Bob?
He left.
Oh, he's on a total of car. Will be now.
I don't like being under the gun, but I understand. And then Darren, who really did the work, and we're saving $260,000. I'm glad it's 1 year. I hope we have an independent committee that reviews through it, and we got to get away from this cloud of campaign contributions. That's a different kind of legislation so that we can discuss these things honestly, and we don't have our cars towed. So, but I vote yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
No.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Okay, now the resolution appointing Chris Oswald Jones to the zoning hearing board as an alternate member. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Mr. Belishko? Mr. Barrett? Mr. Belishko?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
No.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Now the consent agenda ordinances, need a motion and a second. Anybody? Consent agenda, Ms. Gilbert? Barrett. Mr. Belishko?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert? Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Just one for Butch. Butch, I mentioned to you about the grid. Yeah, you said there was a company that gets been hired. Are they going to be doing that soon? Have you heard? We were told hopefully this week, early part of next. Oh, good. Okay. That's all, Mr. Barrett. Thank you. Mr. Brooks?
I got a question about parking in front yards. I suppose it's against the law. If people park their car in the front yard.
No, we looked at that. He's talking about people parking their lawns and wherever else, and looking at their lawn and dragging their lawn out into the street, I'm assuming what he's talking about.
Right.
We looked at that a while ago, and it was something that I proposed, so if you wish to look further into that, have a supporter there. But I think first of all, not only is it unsightly, but if you guys, other neighboring properties. No, so technically, no, it's not. You can park on your property, if you pay or not. Wrong, and that's what they're.
Like Tony, I would have assumed that there was an ordinance on the books against it, but I haven't reviewed the parking ordinances before coming to the meeting tonight, so I certainly trust your word as a former police chief that you've looked into
This is
this.
when I was on council, and the concern was that some streets do not have a whole lot of parking, and people are struggling to find parking places, so they're parking in front of cars and other places, and that was where the problem arose. So I think, what I might have done.
Nothing else.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yeah, just a couple issues regarding parking enforcement. I received a complaint about the car show. I guess previously they weren't allowed to park around where the older cars are for the show,
Yes.
and now
That's correct.
there's people parking there currently.
Well, usually at the farmer's market, they're supposed to put the barrels back out when they leave.
Okay,
Sometimes they don't.
so that's
So then we
fine.
need to, over the course of tomorrow, during the day, get it moved and then have it enforced so that we can do it tomorrow night.
All right. And also, that brings me to my next point with the farmer's market. Parking around the farmer's market is a disaster. People are double parked, it's an absolute mess. I would never even drive down there during the farmer's market. So I think, I don't know if there could be more enforcement there or something, if we can get some extra people down there, because it's really,
Certainly.
it's pretty much.
Is it predominantly at lunchtime or?
Yes, around noon,
Okay.
1 o'clock around.
All right, we can get a second officer.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Merritt?
Nothing nuisance Tuesday.
One or two small things. First of all, congratulations to the city administration, specifically the fire department under the leadership of Chief Delaney. Very good to hear that, and I know other council members have recognized this too, that we are a recipient of this safer grant. And I know it's in large part due to the work of yourself and the grants office and everyone else that put it together. But most importantly, your experience and your knowledge in making this work. So, appreciate that. Just look a little easier, maybe, I'm sure. The other thing is, I see that we're doing a white goods recycling campaign, which is good. You know, one of the things that we would like to see recycling, I know it's a little more difficult, maybe it isn't, electronics. You know how hard it is to get rid of the television now? It's like impossible to get rid of the television unless you pay somebody $2 a pound to do it or something. And I know we used to do it at the county here, and I know if there's any recycling grants that we can look for, or some assistance in helping people get rid of those types of things, old computer monitors and electronics.
I can tell you, Best Buy will take one of the televisions from Protein today.
They will?
You go up to 32 inches.
Yeah.
Anything over that is, if it's a tube or something.
Right.
No tubes?
No,
tubes.
no.
No tube television.
No, but the other.
It would be, I think it would be something that would be useful to our residents.
Yeah, and county government.
Everybody will run up to Best Buy tonight, we mentioned Best Buy and but if we could look into that, that would be great to get our grants.
Right, well, and the county usually does that,
We don't
so.
ask this year, no.
Right.
But it's good that you're doing the white goods, but there's electronics, it would be a great.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Especially for people looking at homes.
No.
Anything else from council? Okay, public presentations, David Doctor, number 1.
Thank you very much. My name is David Yankai, North Main Street, Wilkes-Barre. Thank you for giving me the time to speak before council. I know this is a busy session and you have a lot of momentous decisions before you. This might seem like a little bit of small potatoes, but I wanted to get here before September. I'd first like to point out that I commend the city services being offered. The DPW people are outstanding, as well as the police department. So as a resident of the city, I just want to say thank you very much. Now, as we are well aware, the end of August brings the arrival of students coming back to attend college. Now, there are many fine, polite, and considerate students attending colleges who are pursuing Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degree programs. We welcome them back with open arms and wish them the very best of luck in their pursuits. That said, there are students, a minority of them, who are pursuing a Bachelor of Alcoholism degree. Now, this is a proactive notification that the neighbors of the North End will not tolerate nor be subjected to the antics of the last 2 years as students return to that neighborhood. I was leaving work today and they said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to address city council." Somebody yelled out, "Nerd." And then another person said, "Tell them about the fireworks." And I said, "What about the fireworks?" "Well, let me give you a recap." Apparently, this woman who I work with said that they were the students who were throwing out fireworks on Darling Street. There's been underage drinking, loud noise emanating from off-campus student housing after 2 a.m., littering, disorderly conduct, men carrying drunken women up the street, drunken women carrying men up the street, women passed out on porches in the afternoon, total disregard and disrespect to the police who come on these calls, and the police really should not be coming to these things because they have other stuff to do. And also vandalism and property vandalism. My personal favorite, a student who actually autographed his name in wet cement that a neighbor was working on. He was easy to catch. Now, some do well in SATs and some don't. Now, some people clean up after themselves, others leave the debris that just goes in their wake when they're studying during the weekend with Mr. Kors and Mr. Lionhead. Now let me talk about the landlords. Landlords always have a bad name, but they literally have to rebuild their homes after students leave. And by April, it looks like a bond hit them. Now, I talked to a landlord in May, and he was working on his house, and I commented that he was certainly doing a lot of work. And he said that this was a house populated by women, and those girls let in some very bad people. Wilkes-Barre has been a town that always welcomes people. But if someone is drunk and disorderly in Barney Farms, if someone is drunk and disorderly in the Rolling Mill Hill section, Sherman Hills in the downtown, there are consequences. And the only thing we want in the North End is that there would be consequences for other people who are disturbing the neighborhood. Finally, let me leave you with this. A few years back, the Layton administration had a meeting with students and the neighbors of the North End. After the meeting, a young male student came up to a neighbor of mine, a life resident of the North End. And she's been there longer than us. My wife and I have been there for 35 years. And he said to her, poked her in the chest and said, "This is our town now." And I don't know where that young man is. Maybe he has a job. Maybe he's in his grandmother's basement. I don't know. But this isn't only his town, nor the students who come here. It is a town of people who pay to stay, keep up their properties, and pay taxes to support the services that they use on a temporary basis. Students are part of the town, and we embrace them, and they're part of the fabric that is Wilkes-Barre, and for the most part, they contribute a lot. But this is not about the majority of the same kids attending Kings and Wilkes, but the vocal, out-of-control majority we've seen in the past 2 years. You get to own a town by being a responsible citizen and not puking on the sidewalk. Thank you.
On that note, I do know that they did meet with the college and university before. Probably not, I don't know if we're planning on doing that.
I have already preliminarily spoke with both campuses, both security directors. We have another meeting next week, and then there's something with the city, with the fire department, and off-campus housing students as well, August 31st.
I know we have problems on South River Street
Mm-hmm.
last year that we don't want to relive those.
No, zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance, okay, and that's the way it should be.
I understand.
And that goes for North Main Street too, yeah.
North Main, South River, zero tolerance. And,
In that same vein, you said you mentioned security over at Wilkes. When I had conversations about the South River incidences, that was brought to my attention that other cities look into having programs where the city and the universities kind of give a gold star of approval to landlords and let parents know that these are good places to go. And that a lot of times parents don't have not a clue what their students are, their children are renting. And that might be something that we could look into. And I know Wilkes, security guy at Wilkes used to be at the University of Maryland, and they did that in Maryland. It's something that we could look into. It's a combination of code enforcement and security to give stability to the neighborhood and peace of mind to the parents as well.
thank you, Sean. Dr. Reisner, Dr. Gerald Reisner. Dr. Reisner. Michael Robb.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here this evening
Your name and the
to,
record.
I'm sorry, Michael Rupp. Here tonight to talk about food trucks in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I am the operator of the Wandering Chef food truck. I'm also here representing many other food trucks in the area that couldn't be here because they're working harder than I am tonight. Currently dealing with a set of ordinances for mobile food in Wilkes-Barre that are a bit outdated. I'm not sure when the ordinance were put in, but they don't currently reflect the opportunities that we have in the city. Together, all said in Luzerne County, about 9 different food trucks. We strike the difference on food trucks and concessions. Not that there's anything wrong with concessions, but it's a different level of service. So you have your concession stands, your potato pancake guys, your pizza and halushki guys. You have your food trucks serving quick service, fresh foods, and you have your restaurants. Currently, in downtown Wilkes-Barre, we're restricted from operating 2 blocks out of public square at all times. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless there's a special event permit for the square organized through the city by a certain group. We're also subjected to an annual license, food service license, which is designed for restaurants. If a food truck wanted to come to a special event in the city of Wilkes-Barre, they have to pay $250 for a food service license to do that for one day, for 4 hours. They have to pay the $250. I'd like to start a conversation with the city about redesigning the ordinances. I think everyone, no matter who they are, need to be following the rules. Our health department does an excellent job, but their hands are a bit tied with the ordinances that we have. I researched many other municipalities in the eastern part of the state, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, some suburbs outside of Philadelphia. Also Kingston Borough, Wilkes-Barre Township. They all have some kind of ordinance on the books for either a monthly or a daily food truck pass for mobile food. I brought a lot of that, and I didn't have it ready before the meeting for you to get, but I could leave it at the end on what their ordinances are. Not the specific language of the ordinances, I'm still working on pulling that. There's a great group in the Lehigh Valley, the Greater Lehigh Valley Mobile Food Truck Alliance, which we are a part of as well. Just an organized group that are trying to work together for the common good. I think food trucks get a bad reputation to a certain extent. I think if you frequented any of the events we've had in Wilkes-Barre, the Riverfront Food Truck Rally last September on the River Commons was attended by over 3,000 people on a Thursday night. And we were told it was never going to work. But people came out just to eat. This past June, over at Nesbitt Park, we had about 2,500 people on a Friday evening just coming out to eat and enjoy Riverfest as well. So there's a draw to the citizens. It's part of the culture of the town. It's modern, it's trendy, yes, but it's bringing people together. People that wouldn't normally come out on a Thursday night for no particular reason at the River Commons that's heavily underutilized. You can set an event up quickly, rapidly, and be out of there the next day. Our food trucks in the area between Luzerne and Lackawanna County are based in every different town. But you'll find that they're clean, they're well run. They run with better kitchens most times than you'd see in most restaurants. Some of the information that I could leave behind as well discusses that we're looking for more sanitation requirements, higher level of sanitation requirements, and not less. A great group of professional chefs in this area that bring that level of culture to the city that we don't currently have. I've been invited to events at the Kirby Center to do catering. I can't do them. I've been invited to the Innovation Center to do work for offices, provide lunches. I can't do those. I'm not allowed there. A lot of times in the past you'd hear about competition with restaurants, that if you put a food truck on Public Square, then the restaurants on Public Square aren't getting the same deal somehow. And I think that's in the spirit of competition. I don't think any of the trucks in this area would park their trucks 7 days a week on Public Square. It's not good for business. Any kind of competition within the city is a good thing for food. If you've got someone to compete against, then you're going to elevate your game. You're going to provide better food. You're going to provide better service and give the city a much better experience with the culture and the food that we should be enjoying, but we're not. So again, I have some items to leave behind for different ordinances throughout the area, and I have a lot more to provide if the situation calls for it in the future.
Mr. Robert, spirit of competition, totally for that. How many food trucks came to the River Common last year?
We had 9 trucks at the River Common.
So I guess all 9 trucks had to pay $250 yearly fee.
Correct. And then honestly, that was the other part, my 10 seconds left. We have, the other issue that we have is that the ordinance is based on an April end date. So if you were to buy a permit in March for $250, it expires in April. So we're also looking at doing a 12-month permit.
So how many other food
I
trucks?
apologize if I missed it.
So if we had you're asking a proposal for a 1-day permit for like a festival like that.
Correct.
How many food trucks do you think would attract that?
I think there would certainly be more. In the Greater Lehigh Valley Food Truck Alliance, there's 24 trucks within an hour of here. We do great with fundraisers. For every event we've done has been a fundraiser. The first we did for CEO, the Commission on Economic Opportunity, raised about $3,500 for them. And the most recent one was for Medical Oncology Associates in Kingston. So we try to provide it as a community effort as well. But to provide the venues we have, Kirby Park, Nesbitt Park, River Commons, they're underutilized. We're not doing enough with those spaces. They're gorgeous spaces to have those cultural events, and we're not doing them. So you have a group that wants to do it, we can't. Or it's providing a negative business impact on paying that much money for a 4 hour worth of time.
So what's the average price point in these other cities for a 1-day permit?
Anywhere from $25 for a one, but it's variable because some are monthly, some are daily. Wilkes-Barre Township is $25 for a day. Kingston Borough is $50 for a month. Allentown is $50 a day, depending on where you're at. $35 for a 7-day pass for other events. So it has to be worked out with what the city needs to do. It's not just a one-size-fits-all. But to do an annual pass only is part of the issue.
So it seems that our annual thing is keeping people away, so that we're not making any money. We could make more money.
Absolutely, and that's where we see it. If I alone can put 4 to 6 events out a year, you're already ahead. Now, at that point, it would probably be best for them to buy an annual pass, but depending on your business, most businesses would rather do the 1-day pass than an annual permit.
Thank you.
I just have a couple things to add. I know the one ordinance, I remember a few years ago, there was a woman who came before council who wanted to have a food truck out after the bars closed from people who are going home from the bars. And Bill Vinsco mentioned that the one ordinance was from 1989. So I mean, they are relatively outdated. Also, I'm not sure if there's a difference or not, well, I know, but under the eyes of the ordinance, why is there a hot dog stand allowed on the square? And that there's a juice stand last week too. Is there a reason why that's okay, but a food truck wouldn't be?
I would have to review the ordinance.
Okay.
That has to deal with a portable food stand is allowed on a square by ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with the health department, and we have been addressing the inadequacies in the license fee scale, and we're hoping to have that by the next cycle of license, which will start off at the first year. And those problems you're talking about, we are aware of that, and we want to change that. As far as changing where you could go, in that River Street to Pennsylvania Ave and Union to Northampton, we'd have to work on that.
Sure, but it's something, I think it more needs to be a validated issue. Why not? And why, if it was from something previously from 1989 that doesn't exist anymore, or you're looking at a totally different item than a hot dog cart or something like that, like I said earlier, I have to turn down thousands of dollars worth of business at the Kirby Center because I'm too near to Rodano's when I have absolutely no impact on Rodano's that night. If that's the reason. I don't know that that's the reason. It's not stated that because of the restaurant. It just says, from here to here you can't be. So it's just a matter of competitiveness and opportunity with being afforded the same right to come in as a pub. If I were a private caterer without a truck, I can come into the Kirby Center and put on a caterer event. Because my kitchen is parked out front, I can't. It's just these small differences that seem to be the difference that didn't exist back in 1981.
I would just like to add that there's great value for the businesses that are in the city, and those businesses are paying mercantile taxes and business privilege taxes. So that to keep the spirit and keep the businesses that are alive in downtown and to keep the playing field fair, they are paying taxes on their gross receipts. So there should be some type of equitable.
I don't disagree at all. I think that's what you'll see between food trucks and some other styles of businesses that we agree with you. If we're in your city and we want you to work with us, there should be a fee for that. And Allentown, you'll see in these ordinances that I provided to you, I should have left them at home. But they do have the business privilege taxes and things that are written into it, and they're adjusted based on the length of time that you're there. So those are taken into consideration as well, and I think that is absolutely fair. Just like I said with the health department, I'd like to see those standards even stricter, because we're serving good food. We want everyone to be serving good food. And if you're not hitting those standards, then don't complain, get better.
But the city wants as much business downtown and in the city as possible, so we can work at something.
You have copies of those ordinances, you have them?
It's a lot of the applications and a lot of the information about them. I'm aware that the folks from the Greater Lehigh Valley are going to pull the actual ordinances to help out with some language if we get to that point.
We can have them distributed to the council members and anybody in the administration.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Joe Caffrey? Sir?
Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. As I mentioned previous, it's come to my attention that there may be a resolution entertained tonight by council to offer the support to the SOS group and their plan for the school district's buildings. I just have a couple of questions. All members of the school board on Tuesday night for the first time saw the full PowerPoint presentation of the SOS plan. I guess my first question is, have all members of City Council seen that PowerPoint? Are they familiar with it?
Yeah, well, I guess you continue on and then we'll answer.
Okay.
Okay, that's my first question would be if all members of council have seen that PowerPoint. Of course, if they haven't, then I would really hope that if there is a proposed legislation here tonight, that that would be tabled until all members of council have seen that. I also would like to, I think I know the answer to the question, so I'll just make the offer that I would be willing to, with members of our design team and our feasibility team and officials of the school district and some board members, meet with any of you anytime, in groups that would, of course, not number quorum, as often as it would take to meet with you at your convenience, go over any of our reports with you, review with you, the budget, review with you our facilities plan, our financial plan, our curriculum plan. I would, as long as it would take, and as many questions as you have, of course, if you're willing to do that, I would like to extend that offer to you at your convenience so that you could, and I guess the last point I would make, and I would like to preface it by saying that I mean this respectfully, but certainly, that there are some differences on this issue in our school district. And one of the things that is a little different for you ladies and gentlemen is that you're elected to represent a certain area. And I understand that you need to do the best that you can to, of course, respond to your, the people in your district. And I've always felt that. I respect that and I understand it. I would hope that you'll understand that as an elected official of the Wilkes-Barre School Board, that I have to represent everyone in the district, all corners of the district, not just a couple neighborhoods, and I mean that respectfully. And one of the things I learned, and it was very difficult, was that I couldn't make decisions based on emotion. And I think that that's something that I adhere to and believe very strongly. So I would ask that you take that into consideration as well. And then, of course, the last thing, if this is something that a majority of council is insisting on doing, it seems to me, and I speak, this is me, that at the heart of the SOS plan, and I understand the intention, is the desire to renovate Myers High School. We disagree on how that can be done and the cost of that. And I would just hope that if council goes in the direction tonight of this ordinance, that they maybe would be able to offer us some insight as to how they think that this can be managed financially, because we are trying to become a more efficient district, and that's something that we're working very hard on.
Yeah, I'll comment. I have seen SOS's PowerPoint presentation. I was handed a copy of it. Also, just for clarification, any opinion I have on what's going on with the school district is not based on emotion, just for the record. Also, I'm happy to meet with you anytime, just as I met with SOS. I'd be more than willing to meet with all of you. That's all.
I would like to say that we've had communication over the last several months about where you're going, what you're doing. You're in an unenviable position. I know that there's a lot of challenges ahead of you. I respect those, but it's my personal opinion and belief that you are an elected official, elected by the school board. It is a political entity in and of itself, and it is your responsibility to direct the school district. You have the information, you have the knowledge, you have the engineering studies, the projections, the enrollment numbers, and all those other types of things that are factored in to make the decision that you and the 8 other members make.
Correct.
Along with your superintendent and your administration in the school district. I concur with what you're saying. I know that you're not here to tell us what to do with our insurance or anything else. Not that we wouldn't respect your opinion and your beliefs, but I'm not one that would want to sit here and pass a resolution in support of anyone who has a position on it, because there are obviously multiple sides to this and a whole lot of factors that are in play here. So from my perspective, I'm only one of 5. I do not believe that we need to take a stand one way or another, but we need to support the school district as we move forward, because we, like you, want what's best for our students and our citizens of the city of Wilkes-Barre. And anything that I can do to assist the school district, and I'm sure others would feel the same way, would be more than happy. If that's said, too, to meet with you, to sit down with you. We don't want to take sides, we want to move forward together. And I'm glad we met with the SOS group on Tuesday night. I hope it was productive. I hope there was some dialogue that was exchanged, because the worst thing we do is not talk to our residents and just take a stand. And it's just my opinion. I'm not going to propose a resolution because I simply believe that we should not. So we need to work together.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, and
And I
thank you
hope
for
that
coming
we
to take
would
the
be
time.
consideration to table that until there is an opportunity to.
There hasn't been one that has been closed and has been motion. I don't know if there's going to be, if there is, I would hope that's going to work for the residents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good seat. Bob, I'm sorry. I apologize. I wish I could use.
That's okay, close enough.
I got my glasses checked. Thanks, sir. Bob. Good evening.
Good evening to your
Hey, repeat your name and your microphone.
My name is Jim Spock. I'm from Ashland. And seems like everyone else here has a lot of very important momentous things, just like Dave Jonke had mentioned, everyone else. Except I think my potatoes are a little smaller than Dave's potatoes, and everyone else has sweet potatoes. But anyway, the reason I'm here, a couple of weeks ago on Thursday, I was at the farmer's market with a couple of friends of mine. And it was a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and a few of us, we brought a couple of guitars and bottle drums and accordion. We were making some music and entertaining ourselves and some people going by. And the woman, I think her name is Patty, I don't recall her full name, I believe she's now a special events coordinator. She came up to us while we were in the middle of singing a song and told us we could not perform on the square because we had not purchased a permit. And I debated the issue with her briefly, because what the rules were in years past, a couple of times I get together with a few friends, we'd make a little bit of music just to add to the atmosphere on the square for the farmer's market. And the people in charge of the farmer's market told us there were 2 rules we had to follow. The first one was we don't play until after 1:30 p.m. when the main performers on the main stage are done playing. And the second thing they asked of us was no soliciting or asking for donations, because people who are there to make money are paying for their space. So we waited till after 1:30 to play, and we were not soliciting money or asking for donations. We were just, like I said, entertaining ourselves and entertaining people walking by. And then the woman who was special events coordinator, she told us we had to leave because we didn't get a permit, so we left. But what I think is a better way to handle this would be the way it was done in years past. All we were doing was entertaining ourselves, entertaining people there, trying to add to the atmosphere and enjoyment of the day. And we weren't out there to make money, we weren't out there to compete with the farmers or the vendors for the money that they were making. We were just trying to make a little bit of music and have a good time. And I would like to ask, I'm not sure if it's an administrative decision or a council decision that would change the policy on this, but I would like to ask the people involved to change the policy back to the way it used to be, where if we wanted to make a little bit of music, as long as we're not asking for money, as long as we're not playing in the main event on stage playing, they should let us play some music and let the people who are there let us enjoy it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your consideration.
Anyone with knowledge of this? It would be, if somebody wanted to go and was not in there, wanted to play music or do whatever they wanted to do, is there anything that would prohibit that?
Yeah, Patty is very new to this position, and I'll certainly be under this position.
Thank you. Mr. Stock, the attorney said that they're going to discuss that with the person that run the farmer's market, and if you wish, you can get back to us or the attorney's office for a resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Eric Biaski?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Eric Biaski, and I live on South Franklin Street in Wilkes-Barre. I am speaking
speaking to you as a concerned American. This concern isn't generated by Zika virus, terrorism, or a stagnant economy. It is something that we the people can directly control, unlike the aforementioned challenges we face. On January 21st, 2010, the Supreme Court passed the Citizens United court case in a controversial 5-4 decision, which essentially gave corporations and the wealthiest citizens the ability to buy politicians, ultimately owning their votes and controlling what laws are introduced and enacted. If it isn't already clear, my main concern is legal political corruption. In a political landscape that's dominated by super PACs or political action committees, we the people have no way of even knowing where the money is coming from. This even leaves our political process and democracy susceptible to money funneling in from foreign governments and from people who aren't even U.S. citizens. Now I understand at a local level this impact may not be immediate, but surely at a state and federal level it is. This overt threat to the democracy we all cherish caused me to join a nonpartisan nationwide movement that is pushing for greater transparency regarding political donations, impartial decision-making, and an overall tougher anti-corruption reform. The sad truth is that the state of Pennsylvania has been deemed the 5th most corrupt state by a recent Indiana University study. We are the front line in the battle to ensure that our children live in a country where their voices mean as much as the next person, no matter the amount of money they possess. It is for this reason that I humbly ask the Council for their support in introducing and adopting a resolution that can serve as a foundation from which we can build upon, ensuring that future generations will always have a government that is truly for all people. Thank you.
This nonpartisan group that you're a part of, do they have any sample resolutions for local?
They do, yes.
Okay.
It's called Represent Us. It is a website. If anybody here is interested.
They just did an event in Manchester?
Yes, yes, that is correct.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Smith.
Thank you for having me speak to you.
Your name and
I'm
microphone.
Gary Smith. I'm from 127 East Street, Wilkes-Barre, PA. This is the 3rd year I've come and had to complain about weeds growing over the guardrail. And I don't know, Councilman George Brown and Mayor, now he was a councilman last year, George.
Yeah. Sorry.
They always took care of it. I called Public Works a few times, and it just seems like they get their run around and they just don't come. There's a few people, I know of Public Works, so I asked the guy about having the guys, and I already worked with some ones, with kids. And they just haven't come. And I don't know who my councilman is, if it's Mr. Brooks or Mr. South Wilkes-Barre. I'm going to ask you a favor. Where do you live? I live on Big Street, Wilkes-Barre. I'm going to ask you a favor. Come into Big Street. That's as far south as you can go. Okay? You come in Big Street, the first street to your left. Just start from there, go up the hill to Andover Street, right up around the corner.
What you think?
And when you get down that trip, you ask me whether I'm right or wrong. I think you'll be amazed at the weeds where they're growing over the guardrail. Down the bottom of the hill, the trees are coming off the side of private property, down on the road, and out on the road, and up on the corner by Andover Street, the trees are coming down. Now, the public utility people last winter, they cut all those sumac trees down. They cut a lot of stuff down. Look good in the spring. Now, it's a jungle. But I want you to take, drive up that street, and then, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Okay? Thank you very much. All right.
You're aware.
That's Arch Street, 8, and the other one on the other side.
Yeah, we had a close encounter of the third kind with one of our own employees up there on a motorcycle. So we are aware that we do send them up there. That's an ongoing issue, but we do.
Thank you. So Bob Kelly, is he still here? Anything else for council? adjourn?
Court. Off the record.
Thank you.